Welcome to episode 7 of the Hike or Die Outdoor Adventure podcast. I'm here with Craig, who is a little bit older and a little bit wiser than last time we spoke. And today we're going to be talking about outdoor adventure and trail safety. So Craig, make the music thing do the song thing.
Right.
G'day guys, how you doing? Thanks for joining us again. Number 7. I still can't believe it every time we click up another number. How you doing, Craig?
Good, mate. Thanks. Yeah, good.
Yeah, mate. Happy birthday, first of all.
Thanks.
To you. Do you have you do have a beverage?
Yep.
Shall we? Cheers on that.
Cheers, for sure.
Everybody, Craig just had a birthday.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that.
It's actually his birthday week, so let's continue to milk the shit out of that. What have you been up to?
Oh, look, as usual, I take a few days off for my birthday. I don't know whether
I didn't know that.
I always do. I always try to get away, or I just try and not be at work, make it feel different to the usual. So I had just some quiet time and a bit of time with the family and stuff. Took it pretty easy, to be honest.
That's pretty good. Have you been getting out at all? Getting outdoors?
Oh, yeah. I've had family in tow the whole time, so It's been pretty hard to go and do anything serious at the moment. But certainly been out in the sun a fair bit and enjoying the outdoors, man.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
I spent the entire afternoon at the archery range this afternoon, and I was the only person there.
Oh, wow.
The whole place was empty.
Yeah.
Except for me, and I was there for nearly 2 hours.
All right.
And just trying to tune my bow in. And so I bumped the bit where the, it's called the arrow rest. I bumped where the arrow kind of sits on the bow. Yeah. So it was completely, it was loose, which means that when I tighten it back up, it was no longer accurate. Oh. So then I had to, take 5 shots, move it, tighten it, take 5 shots, and just try and get the grouping back. And what started to happen after an hour and a half is then I started to get tired. So my form started to go downhill. So then I couldn't really trust the groupings anyway, if you know what I mean. So I just ended up getting it roughly to a decent spot, and I thought I'll go back fresh in a couple of days or something, and then just see how close I was. Yeah. Well, it was nice to be out, but I'm going to pay for it tomorrow. My back's going to be sore.
Gee. So how do you trust that you're not going to knock it again? Like, what's that all about?
Oh, that was... I actually tightened it against my backpack, and it moved it was just a silly mistake. And
it's like your sighting, is it?
Well, it's not the sight itself, but it's the bit that the arrow leans on.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit technical, but yeah. Anyway,
critical.
It's absolutely critical.
Yeah.
So, but it's good fun.
Sounds good.
My archery range is not an indoor range. It's actually out in the bush. So you can either go to the practice range, which I did today, but they also have these other courses, which are almost like golf courses that go through the woods.
Oh wow!
So you shoot at one target, go collect your arrows, and then go to the second one, and then the third, and you just zigzag for about a kilometre through and there's 3 different courses. It's really cool fun. Yeah, it's good. Sometimes I run between targets, so I'll get my arrows and I'll jog to the next one, and then by the time you've done 15, 16, 17 targets and you're running in between, you're getting up a bit of a sweat, and it's just harder to kind of find that zen spot, which is what I'm ultimately trying to do under pressure.
Is that a unique sort of range, or are they kind of common to have these outdoor sort of shots like that?
I'm not sure. My understanding is that there is
similar
another one like that. In fact, just around the corner from you, there's one around here.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
And a guy was telling me that it's similar.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been there. But no, a lot of times, obviously in suburbia and in a city, they're just going to be a just long shooting lanes, almost like a bowling alley or something.
Yeah,
But,
right.
it's good fun. It's good. It's almost like getting out for a hike.
Yeah, that's great.
Speaking of which, I did get out on that public holiday and spent half a day just sitting out in the rainforest. I did a couple of reviews, and I think they're going to work out, so I think I'll probably put them up. But it was just cool. You know what it's like especially when you're by yourself. I brewed up a coffee and I was sitting on the log and I was mucking around with the cameras. And I do talk to myself a lot out there, but I wasn't at this particular point. And you'll find little birds kind of come down to have a drink or a bird bath. And they don't realise you're there, and then they kind of look up and, I don't know, they almost look like they're embarrassed for a second. and then they kind of go about their business. But it's really cool. It's really cool. This giant goanna, it must have been over, goanna's a type of lizard in Australia, or it's more like a monitor, isn't it? Lace monitor.
Yeah.
I could hear this crashing coming down behind me down through the rainforest floor.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Crunch, bang, crash. And I was actually filming at the time. And I turned and looked behind me and I just saw this dude just plowing through the bush.
Yeah.
And it got to about, I stopped talking, I was just watching it, and it got to probably 10 meters away. And then it almost looked embarrassed that it hadn't noticed me sooner. It just stopped dead and was looking at me and went, oh my God, there's a human.
I should have known you were there.
Yes. And then it just absolutely shit itself and took off and ran up this tree, and I was just laughing. That was good. It's always good to kind of immerse yourself.
It's good to get out on your own, isn't it?
Yeah,
sometimes
it's great, and I haven't done it for a long time, so I really enjoyed it. Hey mate, the question on everybody's lips since the last episode is: did we find the coffee sachet? And did it ruin our friendship when you falsely accused me of losing it or hiding it?
I don't know how to answer that. We did find the sachet, didn't we? And it was up near my hammock. So I guess I probably should calm down and apologise for that. Whatever. However it seemed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just say yeah.
We did, after we packed up the podcast and took a few photographs and then moved up.
There it was.
Yeah. Craig goes, oh, it's right here. It's right next to my hammock.
Yeah,
so we managed to leave no trace, but
you bet.
Just some small scars in my soul. That's the only thing we left. Okay. I will jump over to our sponsors because I was just so excited about everything. And I'll finish off the news. This episode is brought to you by Rios Floating Sunglasses, Caribbee.com, who are makers of fine gear packs, backpacks, waterproof backpacks, all sorts of cool stuff like that. Topo Maps Plus, which is the phone app that we use to navigate when we're out in the woods, the wilderness, and Bluey Merino, who supply us with our ultra-fine merino underwear, midwear, overwear, sockwear. So thanks to those guys. And this particular episode has an extra sponsor, and that is Grail Water Purifiers. So thanks very much for supporting us on this episode, guys. Now, I'm going to drop a bit of a downer on this podcast right now, Craig, because somebody emailed me last week and brought to my attention an article that they had written. And they said that they noticed that I'd kind of written some similar articles on our website about the benefits of getting in the outdoors and enjoying the wilderness and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so first of all, that's conservationinstitute.org. Thanks for getting in touch, guys. I did really enjoy a lot of the articles, and I'm going to continue reading a lot more of them. But what I did discover, Craig, was this one particular article titled Hiking Health Benefits, Hike to the Most Exotic Trails on the East Coast.
Yeah.
There's something called, I'm going to make an acronym out of it, NDD. What do you think that might be?
NDD.
It is Nature Deficit Disorder. And at first I thought it was just something that was kind of coined for this particular article, but when I read on, it's a thing, and it's quite simply, when you don't spend enough time outdoors, and that can lead to a lot of health issues: obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, anxiety, depression, mental fatigue. What they're basically saying is getting outside in any way, shape or form is beneficial to humans in a heck of a lot of ways.
I get it, yep.
Obviously this article's centered a lot around hiking, but that kind of made me a bit sad to think that in a very short amount of time, civilization has got to a point where we decide to make an actual disorder, which is about not getting outside. So, look, it is a good article. It's worth reading, and certainly worth sharing with friends and people that are thinking about getting into it.
So many people don't quite get involved with the outdoors, eh?
I know. I guess it's easy to get sucked up into work and then every other convenience that we have that doesn't require us getting outside.
Yeah.
And that just kind of hit home that. But look, as I said, it's really worth a read. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. If you are new to the podcast, welcome, thank you. And if you go to HikeordieTV.com, then navigate your way to the podcast page. There is a list of all the episodes that we've done, and you can actually click on the episode you're looking for, and that'll take you to a page where I've listed all of the kind of major topics that we hit, any website references, any shout-outs, any cool videos or whatever that we think are worth sharing with you guys. So, just bear that in mind and enjoy. If there's ever anything I miss on there, just hit me up somewhere on social media and say, hey, you spoke about this thing and you didn't post it. Do your job properly and get it on there, you fool. I guarantee someone's going to send me a message like that. Yeah. Last episode, mate, that apart from the great coffee sachet saga of 2018, it stirred up a bit of conversation. And I mean, I knew it would. It was kind of meant to, right?
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't listened, it was about leave no trace, trail etiquette, all those sorts of things about sharing the outdoors. And I actually want to spend a bit of time going through some of the comments from these appeared on our Instagram post where I how would you say it? The Instagram post where I showed people that the episode was ready.
Yeah.
So, the girl with crayons writes, you refer to this podcast as possibly a bit negative, but but I see nothing but positives. Taking care of our natural environments is a responsibility that belongs to everyone, and allowing our future generations to experience the same experiences we do today. Your adventure is not going to be ruined by having some planning and care. Experience is the best souvenir. Great episode, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Firstly, for that. I think I might have mentioned it during the podcast. In fact, I'm almost positive I did, but we certainly mentioned it beforehand on that topic. Is it something that we want to get into? Because we were worried that the whole episode might just be me complaining. about everyone else. People. Yeah. About everyone else except me.
Yeah, yeah.
And, well, I'm glad that some people took the positive side of it.
Yeah,
that's
good.
Fantastic. It's good to hear. Now, 8, Adam 8, numeral 8, Adam numeral 8. Simply asked, is leave no trace possible? Which I thought, wow, that's a heavy question, man. Like, you really put it on me, I thought. Because I understand the context of that. So I replied, a really good question. And my reply to that was, I think there is most definitely varying degrees of leave no trace. It takes effort, but I think it's possible in the majority of situations. If we're aiming for 100% leave no trace and we don't quite get there every time, well, I think it's better than not aiming for that at all and not getting close. We've got to try, right?
Yeah.
Adam then came back to say, I would argue my opinion, but a vast majority of humans can't be trusted with the beautiful landscapes, it seems. Leave no trace is a good goal.
Yeah.
I said, then that's not an argument, that's a fact. Usually the one walking out of the wilderness carrying other people's trash in my pockets. We just have to keep fighting the good fight. Thanks for the comments. You know, it's really, it got people thinking if that's what the purpose was, then we've succeeded. So I really appreciate people giving us that feedback. Any thoughts on that, Craig?
Oh, it is good to see people talking about this stuff because I guess you have to have a little bit of a discussion about this stuff or it just gets overlooked.
Well, yeah, and I often think about this podcast and I think obviously it's just us channeling our opinions based on our own experiences, but at the same time, if we're not throwing a bit of spice in there, then essentially it just becomes us having a conversation about nothing really, you know.
Yeah, well, I guess there are some people out there just making a mess of the place and it's upsetting. So if we don't sort of have a little dialogue about it, we don't know what each other's thinking or how we can, you just address it better.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Very good. Again,
very good.
Thank you guys. I do appreciate you taking the time to keep those conversations going. I'm going to keep going because I'm not going to do the typical shout outs on this episode. I'm going to continue to go through some really good feedback and questions and queries that we have been receiving since the first episode that I've never really gone into. And essentially they'll be shout outs in themselves, if you know what I mean. I wouldn't even know how to pronounce this. Magellan something. Anyway, 13. This is on Instagram as well. Just found your podcast and just finished this episode. You've definitely got yourself a new subscriber. Keep up the great content. It's a lot of fun listening to you guys teach and to hear what you had to say. It almost made me feel like I was there hiking with you, which was a pretty cool experience since I sit in my car all day for work. I thought that was awesome because that's the episode where one of the only 2 episodes where we've sat out in the wilderness and recorded it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So, which is great. I thought that was cool. Yeah,
It's
awesome, mate. Thanks for the comment. Yeah, we'll keep putting them out as long as they're
keep listening.
Yeah, that's right. As long as I know people are listening, we just keep smashing them out. All right, I shall continue because somebody on iTunes, and now I don't know if this is a person that also follows us elsewhere. All I know is it's Jubbers or Jubers, Juberrz, and his or her comment was love 'em, and they gave us 5 stars. Thank you. Not only do I appreciate the sentiment of that, but it really goes to increasing the ratings, obviously, of the podcast. And you don't have to be a scientist to understand how that helps us rank and all that sort of stuff. So thanks for that. Thanks for the people who have taken the time to do that. Now, his or her comment was, first time ever hearing about these guys. I checked out their first episode and found them super entertaining to listen to. That's awesome. That's I'm not just saying that because I want to hear that for my own ego. I'm saying that's awesome because it's listed on iTunes.
Yeah, it's
right. Yeah,
black and white.
I just want to read all the cool shit people have said about us.
Very gratifying. Thank you.
No, it's humbling. It's cool. All right, I got a really good one coming up here, Craig. I got a really good one. A guy called Jim Denham. Jim, I know you won't mind me saying your whole name because it is your username as well. Jim Denham photo. Where's the first message from him? Bear with me. Here we go. Good stuff, guys. New subscriber here in Lexington, TN. Is that Tennessee? What's TN?
Oh, I've got no idea. TN.
Oh, wow, this is embarrassing.
Lexington.
Hang on. He's sitting there right now talking to the computer, to the podcast, going, "It's this." United States, TN.
Like something Nebraska or something.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, right.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Excellent.
Yeah, so Lexington, TN. Okay. It's the opposite. It's confusing me. Jeez, if you're not from Nashville, Tennessee, this is getting super awkward. It's from somewhere in America. No, it says it there. Look, TN. Yeah, Nashville. Okay, I hope that's right. Doesn't matter, Jim. It doesn't matter, mate. We appreciate it. Anyway, he says, I'm new to hiking and love photography. Keep up the good work. I basically wrote back and said, awesome, great. Good to know you are new to hiking. That's exciting. That's when he's come back and said, my longest hike to date is a little over 5 miles, so I'm getting there. Keep in mind, back in January this year, he weighed 365 pounds, approximately 161 kilos.
Okay, yeah.
In January.
Yeah, right.
And have since lost 70 pounds, with the last bit partially due to hiking. I've quickly got to plug in 70 pounds because there's some listeners in the metric system. Okay, so he's lost 31 kilos.
That makes more sense.
Huge.
Gee, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. Then he says, listening to podcasts like yours keeps me juiced to get out there. That
means a lot.
It does, and I sort of wrote back and said, if that's the kind of effect that this podcast is having on anybody, even if it's just Jim, even if just Jim gets something out of this,
yep,
job done. Let's just pack it up. Let's just close it at 7 episodes.
Yeah,
Good while we're ahead.
Cool. No, I like that. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah, it's awesome. Jim actually then wrote us a message on Facebook as well, and went right into his kind of fitness journey. He talks about his first hike being 3/4 of a mile, and it almost killed him. And they were going to shoot a sunrise, because Jim's actually a fantastic photographer. His website is jimdenhamphotography.com. Look at this, Craig.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's great.
Absolute beautiful photography there. So what happened was they had obviously planned to...
Wow.
I know, it's good, isn't it? So they've obviously planned to go and capture this sunrise, but because of Jim's lack of fitness and a 3/4 of a mile hike, they almost missed the sunrise, and he was worried that he was going to let the whole team down because he couldn't make it. But he says since then, after 4 months of walking, he not only can get up that 3/4 of a mile with ease, but he can do it in 18 minutes now, which is pretty awesome, man. So, yeah, it's really cool. I just, I don't know what to say. It's really cool. As I said, it's humbling, and if it's helping, then good. And I actually said to Jim, I asked Jim in a private message if I could share this information with the podcast. And, he said, if this helps somebody else, by all means, go for it.
Wow.
Which is awesome as well. And I said to him, you're an inspiration. He said, I don't think so. But I disagree. I think that he's smashing it. And
I just love that he's also
awesome.
Got a keen... all these photos are landscape. He wants to...
I know. That's exactly
enjoy
what
the
I thought.
outdoors. And
that's exactly what I thought is...
Look at them.
If you think about these photographs, no disrespect to Jim, but these photographs, anything before January this year, these photographs must have been within kind of driving distance, right?
Yeah.
Because Jim didn't have the fitness to do this. But can you imagine now and in the future how much further he's going to be able to kind of get into the wilderness and get some crazy stuff that maybe other people don't have the fitness to get in and get?
Yeah, I just can see him now going through that lens and getting into these places a bit more.
Yeah.
So what's the name of that site again?
This is Jim Denham Photography.
Excellent.
That's DENHAM photography.com. As I said before, I'll chuck a link in. And his
nice.
His Instagram as well. He shares his photography on Instagram and his fitness progress as well. So
well, that's a shout out, man. That's good.
Yeah, man, for sure. Absolutely. That's what I was saying before. The going back through these comments will actually turn into shout outs anyway.
Beautiful.
Now, the same girl with crayons sent me a message. Funnily enough, it was there for ages, but I didn't notice it because it just kind of went into the background in Instagram. But anyway, I only noticed it this week. You're going to laugh at this, Craig, because I'm just going to have to read it. Hi, guys. I just started listening to your podcast, and while I wasn't sure what to think of your slow, relaxed style...
Yeah, there's a bit of that.
I soon come to love it. And for the great tangents. And I just thought, you poor people that have to join us on tangents. I think that's why the coffee saga was so important to people, because it was a tangent that it just stopped. Podcast stopped, and people were going, no. What happened? I can't sleep tonight.
Jeez.
Anyway, she says very kind comments like that. She can tell that we're not, we enjoy being outdoors, the emotions around that, and that we're not afraid to kind of go into those deeper feeling kind of conversations, which, I definitely like that. this is another funny comment she makes. I'll admit, I was nervous when I saw your episode titled Hiking with Girls.
So was I.
And again, exactly the same sentiment there as with the Leave No Trace. It's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind stirring the pot a little bit. But anyway, she goes on to say, hiking with girls, as I do whenever men refer to women as girls. But was so glad to be proven wrong, and it was a great episode. I thought,
All right.
Oh, phew.
Thank God.
Yeah, she's gearing up for she wants to be on the Bibbleman. No, I can't even say that. Have you heard of this? Bibbleman track, I think it's called. Yeah, she's going to hike that in 2020. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but if her partner doesn't want to do it, she's doing it by herself.
Oh, she's committed.
She's committed.
She's
and
2020. That's 2 years. So
yeah, not even that now.
Is that America?
No. That's
what are you trying to?
That's an Australian one.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I can't pronounce it. It's obviously an Aboriginal word.
All right. That sounds good.
Yeah. It's awesome. So, yeah, thanks for the backhanded compliments, girl with crayons. I'm kidding. No, I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of do that. And I know. I said to her in my response, I know I talk slow. I know. It's just me. Like, people at work think that I'm lazy. I'm like, hang on, there's a difference.
Yeah.
I'm casual. I'm not lazy.
Yeah, it happens. I have to listen to this stuff when
me too, man. I have to
put it together and
again and again, and it's good to listen to when you're trying to fall asleep. Oh wow! I didn't want to rush that because I've been putting it off for a while, and it is important to us. But I also think that some of the things I just mentioned are cool stories and bits of information that other people need to know. So, yeah, that's why I didn't want to do a straight shout out today.
Oh, good.
So, if I may, I will continue on to the subject today, which I kind of loosely titled Outdoor Adventure and Trail Safety. Now, the reason I thought this was timely was that in the US, did you say you thought it was just North America?
That's what I asked you.
Oh, right. Sorry,
I wasn't sure.
You said, yeah. Look, I think it's the US in general. They have a National Preparedness Month. And this year, maybe it's every year, I don't know, but this year it's in September, which is now. And the website is ready.gov/September. Again, I will link to it. I was having a look through there. We do very similar things here in Australia, but since over 60% of our listeners are from the US, I thought we might as well do something closer to home for those guys and tie it in. So while their kind of website and everything is around, I guess, general preparedness for their, what would you call it, Craig? Over here we have
bushfires.
We have
cyclones.
Bushfire season, obviously getting close to summer. Then we have a cyclone season. We often have floods off the back of summer as well. So we kind of tend to break up throughout the year. But I guess in this case, they're focusing on September, getting ready for the rest of the year over there, which is pretty cool. Now, they're obviously talking about everything within the home as well, literally kind of tidying up the yard, I guess, battening down the hatches, making sure they got food and water and alternative power and all that sort of stuff. So we're not going to go into that, but I wanted to kind of do a bit of an angle for being prepared on the trail. some of the things, in fact, will link straight back to stuff that you can do around the home anyway. Without going into any detail, things like water purification. That's something we do on the trail all the time. It's something that's very important. It's something that you would need to know about for home as well. If the tap stops running, and you have to get your water from elsewhere, straight away you got a problem if you don't know what you're doing.
Often the gear that we pack to take on a hike is sort of pack you'd have if a disaster happened around the house.
It is so close to a bug out bag. It's not funny.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And I keep a lot of bits and pieces, because we've accumulated so much gear over the years. I've kind of got two of everything.
Yeah, me too.
I keep a bunch in my car.
In the car?
Yeah. So I've kind of got a mini setup there. If my car was to break down, I'd be fine. Yeah, sure, I'd be a bit hungry and uncomfortable, but there's a sleeping bag in there, and there's other bits and pieces, and a jacket, and all sorts of stuff,
Yep.
So yeah, let's get into it, mate. I know we both wrote a whole bunch of notes, and as I started to write my notes, I remembered that I'd written an article about getting into, it was about solo hiking, but it was one component of that article was about safety in general, specifically for solo hiking, but the same goes for anyone walking on the trail, right?
Yeah.
Now, I just want to read a quick couple of sentences here. This is directly from the article. Safety is often thought of as only the equipment you carry, or to administer first aid, or to keep yourself from harm. That is incorrect. It's much more than that. Safety is a mindset you need to adopt right from the planning phase of your trip through to arriving at home at the end of your journey in one piece.
Wow.
You need to be asking yourself questions like, what if the weather suddenly changes for the worst? What if I need to spend an extra night out in the wilderness than I planned? Or what if an injury prevents me from making my way home? I took that little snippet out because I think it's poignant to everything we're about to talk about. And we discussed it briefly in a few text messages over the last few days about this is not a podcast about what to do when the shit hits the fan when you're hiking. It's about also, more so, about what to do before you even get to that point. Right. So that maybe 90% of the time it won't happen, but if it does, you've got your stuff in order. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on that note, the first thing that I wrote down was your own physical fitness and health. That doesn't sound like trail safety at all. But my point there is, if you're not fit and healthy, or if you're not in the state that you need to be in to complete whatever your journey is, if it's a half-day hike, if it's a 7-day hike, if it's a 4-day canoe trip, whatever it is, if you haven't got yourself in a good state for it, straight away, before you even turn up, you are, how can I say it, running a risk.
Yeah, it's a risk for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're already behind the 8 ball.
Mm-hmm.
You're already, all you need then is a few other unfortunate incidents to accumulate,
mm-hmm.
and you're in a bad place.
Sure.
On the back of that, if you are fit and healthy, the experience is going to be greatly increased anyway, right?
Sure.
So why not get out there and enjoy it? I mean, I definitely know from years of hiking that it's much easier to take a photograph at the top of a ridge when you're not almost vomiting.
Absolutely. But I guess I would say if you are struggling with your fitness, just plan a slightly easier trail. You know, make sure you just choose a suitable trail, I suppose. Otherwise, you get yourself into risk there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's
what you're getting at?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that also leads into my next point, which was to make sure that you assess your skills.
Yeah.
And realistically gauge where you're at and where this adventure is going to take you.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you can do it.
Don't get me wrong. We have, more often than not,
nearly broken ourselves.
Bitten off more than we can chew. But it's within that percentage range, right? So it's within that 20%. So we're running at 120%, which is just.
And we had all these other things covered too. So
of course, we were.
So we're all right.
Yeah, that's right. We covered everything else so perfectly.
We had a first aid kit.
I was wearing clothing, so good start. Yeah, we're constantly pushing, and I think that's something that Craig and I enjoy. But as I said, push it by 5%, push it by 10%. Don't push it by 70%. Again, that's it's going to start to encroach on your mental fortitude, and once that starts to crumble, there's not much left, is there?
No.
We've been in some dire situations. They've all been self-inflicted, and we've been up against it, and we've been rained on, stormed on, and I think that just keeping your wits about you, and as you said, Craig, covering off as many of the other things as possible.
Yeah, because I mean that's sometimes where the passion and the fun lies, is in that pushing those limits. And I know people want to do that. So, but then you must realise there's a fair bit of risk. And I see too many people getting out on the trail, not expecting any issues. They expect to be able to get home by dark, or they expect no injury to keep them out there overnight. And yeah, so once you start pushing those first 2 points,
mm-hmm.
yeah, you may have to prepare for some.
Exactly. There's that is bang on. There's a point that I make in another article, and I can't remember which one it is, where I said, it's as ridiculous as saying, I'm going to drive 3 suburbs away today, or I'm going to drive 100 kilometers today. That's my destination. Let me just calculate the exact amount of fuel that it takes, and I'll put that much fuel in my vehicle. That sounds absolutely stupid, because it is. Because you would know that, what if there's a detour? What if something happens to my car and I have to drive to a mechanic's, and then by the time I get back on the highway, I don't have the petrol to get there because I've just done an extra 15 kilometers or miles that I didn't anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid. You take way more fuel than you need.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like saying, well, it's not raining. I won't take a rain
mm-hmm.
jacket.
Mm-hmm.
It's not raining. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Man, things go downhill. Every time, I've got this thing set up in Google News where I can type in topics. So when I go to Google News, I see all the stuff I'm interested in. And one of the topics that I've chosen, or one of the keywords that it searches for, is hiking. 99.9% of the stories that come up are lost hikers, dead hikers, killed hikers, missing hikers.
Yeah.
I'm talking every week.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is global news, so it's not all Australia, or it's not all US.
Mm.
It's every week. And when you read the stories and these people's comments of saying, well, I was just heading out for, it was only a 2-hour hike.
Yep.
And 3 days later, they come back.
Oh, it's not just hikers though. It's people that
It's
ride
not just
horses
hikers.
in
Yeah.
small groups or whatever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they don't make it home that as expected.
Mm.
And most people you do walk the trail, and you stay on the trail, you get back to your vehicle and everything's fine. And
That's right.
and that might be a pretty simple day out, and you maybe don't need to over prepare for that.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start pushing any sort of limits,
Well, I'd go as far as to say that actually breeds bad habits.
yeah, I guess.
Right? That's reinforcing doing the wrong thing.
Sure.
If you go out on a half-day hike and take, a half a bottle of water and wear a T-shirt and then you do that 15 times in a row.
Yep.
And you score perfect weather every time.
You don't see any need to prepare beyond that.
That's right. That's basically setting you up to say, well, that's the maximum level of preparation I need to do. So,
how many times have we seen people wearing thongs?
Man,
on some.
It's
that's
incredible.
We better clarify. That's
I was just about to say.
That's not a G-string. You know what I mean?
Our foreign friends right now are probably thinking, I need to know where these hiking spots are where people are walking around in thongs.
Yeah, not Noosa, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We, in Australia, we call thongs, what are they? It's like those Havaiana things. They're flip-flops in New Zealand. They're almost a sandal of sorts. I can't think of any other.
Pluggers,
double pluggers. They're all sorts of things, but they are not underwear. Just to be clear, we've never seen anyone hiking in underwear. Except ourselves. Craig is cracking another beer.
Yep.
He's getting into the birthday spirit.
Dragging
loving
it out.
this. There's a whole bag of salt and vinegar chips there, but I kind of I shoved a pile in my mouth before we went live, and now I just can't touch them.
Too noisy.
Yeah, I'm surprised we never got any complaints on that episode where I ate the meat pie Pringles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nobody complained about that. Good. Okay, Craig. Communication.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to start by going one step back from what you're all thinking by the word communication, and that is telling somebody where you're going, how long you expect to be out there, and when you expect to be back, and then contacting them when you return, especially if you're going out solo.
Oh, yeah.
Especially. So I know you and I, over the years, have because we always hike similar areas together, we quite often get a text from one another saying, hey, I'm heading out to this spot where we camped that night. I'm going to go past there and I'm going to hang out at the waterfall, and I'll text you again at 1 p.m. when I'm back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's perfect to send a text to someone who knows the spot, I reckon.
Exactly. I mean,
a number of times I'll send a text through to home, but they don't really know the spot. It's better to send it to you if I'm going on my own or with someone else, and say to Tom.
Yeah. I mean, tell anybody, right?
Tell anybody.
But it definitely helps. Like, I always think, if I'm telling Craig, hey, remember that spot we went and we did X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
That's where I'm going today. If you don't hear from me by this time, you know where to find me. Exactly where to find me, because I'm only going to take the route, the specific route and I think it's important to then stick to that. I know that recently we broke that rule. Yeah, big time. Like, we were so far away due to a few circumstances beyond our control. There was some closed trails.
Yeah.
And we ended up hiking in a completely different area. So the people that we told where we were going didn't actually know that we'd changed routes. It was a calculated risk. I thought that at least they knew the general area, and that hopefully our vehicle would give us away if anything happened. But also because there were two of us, I felt that if anything happened, one of us could kind of, stay put, and the other one could go for help.
Yeah, we were well prepared along the lines of this podcast, I suppose, but that we didn't tick that box, and that could have been what brought us down that day.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even when we were
No one knew where we were.
No, even when we were moving to the new location, we came back into cell phone range, so mobile phone range. We could have,
And
we
didn't.
could have let a
But we didn't
message
know
out.
then, in
But
fact.
that's right. We didn't know that it was going to
By
work.
the time we decided what we were doing, we were out of range.
We were back into such dense area that we did have no communication again.
So you just got a calculated risk, I guess. But most of the time, you know where you're going. You can tell people.
Yeah, that's right.
Do it.
And I guess I'm talking about the crazy stuff we do, which was all off trail. That was just pretty rigorous, but that wasn't just about walking down safe kind of easy trails either.
No.
Okay, so yeah, let someone know. For goodness sakes, let somebody know.
Yeah.
But communication is obviously going to flow into your cell phone, your mobile phone.
Yep. Most people have one of them.
Most people have one of those. A personal locator beacon, or PLB.
They are cool.
They are cool. They are. They've come a long way. They're very small, I'd say. Volume-wise, they're take up about the same space as a phone, but they're just a different shape. A little bit chunkier.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I just noticed it's actually gone past. Oh, I saw Craig's just handed me his. I think you showed this to me.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Oh, is it made by Rescue Me as well? Oh, that's pretty cool. I did see this one. This is probably in the top sort of 3 or 4 units, this one.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And affordable as well.
Yeah, 300 and something Australian.
Yeah. So I need to replace mine because
7-year life?
well, it said 5, I think.
Oh, okay.
Battery
cool.
life.
Yeah, battery. This has got 7 for sure.
Yeah, so now I'm right on the cusp of that, and you can't take the chance, right? I can't just say, it'll be right for another 6 months. Well, what if it's only good for 5 months and 29 days, and then when I go to activate it sends a signal out for 3 minutes and then goes flat.
Yeah.
Again, it's just, it'll be stupidity if I end up out there and I've got that one with the flat battery. So
Yeah, right.
I'm going to upgrade. The one I'm looking at's got a 10-year battery, so
cool.
I don't have to remember to change it.
Yeah, so we should just clarify it's a device that just sends a signal to the satellites and alerts the emergency services to your location.
Yep, it tells every satellite in the world and pinpoints your location.
You can't send any particular message along with this one. There are some that do allow you to
correct. Mine's
communicate.
not as well. Mine's literally just, if you flip that aerial and hit the button, then you're just sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
Which is why you need to register them
Yep.
so they know who the person is that's putting out the signal, so they can also...
They immediately contact your
That's right. They're next
relatives,
of kin, that sort of thing. So whoever you've registered as your next of kin, they'll contact them, I guess, basically to say, hey,
this has been
triggered.
Yeah.
Is that person away, or was it stolen, or was it an accident, or whatever? So they can verify that, yes, you definitely are in that area, so it's definitely legit.
Yeah.
Mine, I believe, pinpoints you around about 20 meters accuracy or something, but some of them now are within 3 meters, so they've definitely greatly improved those GPS signals. Is this one waterproof, mate?
Yeah.
I think it is.
So.
I'm pretty sure it is.
And that thing floats that it's housed in?
Oh, well, yeah. Better be waterproof, because it'd be pretty shit if it floated, but it wasn't waterproof.
Yeah. Okay, let's start that again.
Yeah, but it floats, man. So I paid extra for this floating one.
Just don't get it wet, right?
Yeah, don't get it wet. If it rains, we're all going to die. It's funny, the one I've got, they make exactly the same model for almost exactly the same price, and one floats and one doesn't. And I mean, we don't even spend... I guess I did use it on the canoe trip, but predominantly we're hiking, and I just think, well, might as well get a buoyant one.
I wonder, side issue, but I wonder if in boating, if you're allowed to use that instead of an EPIRB, or whether you still need an EPIRB.
It's a good question.
I think the boat needs one fitted.
Yeah,
as well.
The vessel itself.
Otherwise,
because there's different types of ones. Whenever you Google PLBs, there's even the company that made mine actually make a more marine specific one. Has a big strobe light on top and everything.
Yeah.
So if you clipped it to your vest or your what do you call it? Your flotation device, it has this massive strobe light that will run for 24 hours.
And I hate to be this person that's about to say it, but if you've got one of these things, the best place for it is on your person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not as much as in your pack. I know that.
Yeah, I'm guilty of putting mine in my pack.
A lot of the times when stuff happens, you're away from your pack.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good point. They've definitely some models have taken that into consideration and made this here has a pretty cool belt loop, and it's a really rugged little pack. The one I'm looking at comes with an armband if you really wanted to get that serious, depending on what you're doing. I mean, who knows, for other sports like mountain biking or something, or rock climbing, if you got cliffed out or something, if you got to a point where you got to a ledge, you couldn't climb up and you can't get back down, then it's on your arm. It's not going to get dropped, or you didn't leave it down with your pack with all of your cliff bars.
Yeah, and without dragging on this topic, I guess they're mainly for when you're out of phone range.
It's not dragging on the topic. You're saving somebody's life, mate.
Might be. Otherwise, we're just talking about something. Yeah. You know, it depends how you look at it.
Oh, just skip that, mate. I don't need to survive. Just more into hiking, spur of the moment.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't even remember what I said.
I was like, you know, one day somebody said to me, "Oh yeah, I love that Hike and Die logo that you've got."
Hike and Die.
Yeah. And I said, correction, you do have the option of dying or not dying, okay? It's not mandatory.
Perfect.
Oh, I thought that was gold. And it just rolled off the tongue. They didn't even know what they'd said wrong.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, Craig, you were going on and on about something, and I can't even remember the point you were going to make.
Well, can we move on then? Maybe.
Sure, fine. If that one little nugget of wisdom could have saved someone, but forget about it.
Forget about that. It wasn't important.
Yeah, don't even get one.
Don't even get one.
Oh, what I was going to say
actually, mine's coming up to 7 years. You can buy mine.
Oh, you're pulling on my headphone thing, you bloody goose. Holy shit, his leg's tangled around his...
No, it's your foot.
It's me.
It's your foot.
I thought he was falling on the ground from too many beers. How did I do that?
Tapping your foot.
I take that back. Oh, now we're 1-1. Mm-hmm. You accusing me of the coffee. Mm-hmm. That's awkward. Cut that out of the podcast. I was going to touch back on your topic where some personal locator beacons have messaging capabilities. So what you have to do there is you actually have to sign up for almost like a plan. You almost have to sign up for a plan similar to a cell phone plan where, and they're pretty expensive. Okay. They're pretty bloody expensive. They're almost like the cost of the unit itself per year after that.
Yeah, since we talked, remember we talked
a week or two ago?
Weekend about, and I looked into the price of the SAT sleeves. So that's for your iPhone. You have a sleeve.
Oh, yeah, right. You told me about that.
And it has a large antenna for satellite phone calls.
Yeah.
But those sleeves are like 700 Australian.
Holy shit.
And I don't know. I don't think you need another plan. I think you just have to have a SIM in that phone.
Okay. Well, how much is a satellite phone? I've got no idea anyway.
Yeah, probably around that anyway.
I don't know, maybe it's more. Maybe.
But that's another option if you wanted to have, you're out of range and you want some
it depends
communication.
It depends how much you're frequenting these areas and what you're doing out there. If it was, I was saying to someone the other day, if it was your work, if you were going out and having to, go on these adventures every week for, I don't know what purpose,
Well, a lot of people in Australia do, man. They travel, and there's no
true.
signal between towns.
No, but those people carry satellite phones.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and maybe even...
UHF.
Yeah, yep. Which makes my last little dot point sound really stupid and lame. I wrote whistle.
It does kind of go to a different level, doesn't it?
Tweet, tweet. I'm in trouble. Tweet, tweet. I'm dying.
That's not funny.
I don't... Doesn't have the same impact. I know. It's not funny. But it sounds like... Okay, let me frame this. It sounds like the stupid cousin of the personal locator beacon. But it's not.
No.
It is not.
There's
whistle. The whistle pierces.
Luckily, there's an obvious one in between there, which is GPS.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say flute. No, the whistle. I'll try to talk about the whistle because they're good. My backpack has a whistle built into the strap. I have a whistle in the end of my light my fire starter in the handle.
Yeah.
The purpose of the whistle is if you are hiking and you get into trouble, it will cut through every other sound in the wilderness. It'll just it's so. If you hit those 3 short bursts and then wait a minute or whatever, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, and then hit that again and then just keep hitting that, eventually somebody's gonna. If you're in places where other people are frequenting, perhaps you've just left the trail to take care of business, and then you've fallen into a crevasse or something. Hopefully you're not going to be too far from the trail, and eventually someone's going to walk past and they're going to hear that. It's a very distinct noise. There's no other reason for those kind of whistle noises to be in the forest. It doesn't sound like a bird or anything. They're the old school, way of getting help.
I love to say that my main pack has one on the chest strap.
Yeah.
So even if I break both my legs and my arms, I can still just lean down and
as
blow
long as
that
you
whistle.
kind of... Yeah, even if you kind of broke your back, you'd almost just be able to still get your
almost
face
get
down
there.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good, actually. I was surprised to see that there. So the little clip that you've seen it, right?
The what do you call it? The sternum strap.
So yeah, the little clip, the clasp for it has a little whistle built in, which is very.
Yeah, I've got a couple of different packs with that.
Have you?
Which I think's cool. Yeah.
I didn't have it on my earlier packs, so I thought it was pretty clever.
Yeah, no, on the Tasmanian Tiger has got that.
Has it?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Makes sense.
And I think that, wow, gonna hope I don't speak out of turn here. I think that Caribou pack has got it. That Patriot one that I was wearing on the last hike. I'm almost sure that's got a whistle built into it.
Hope we never have to use it.
Yeah, except for kind of tunes around the campfire.
Yeah.
I want to get another drink. Craig, do you want to talk about clothing or something?
Right, yes. I can. You get a drink. So, yeah, obviously, communication. Yeah, I don't know how we can tie that into clothing.
Oh, before you tie it into clothing, we didn't really touch on the GPS, mate. And then what happens when shit goes flat?
Yeah, well, let's just say that most of us now carry a GPS. And I think the topic is navigation more than communication.
Yeah, that's right. I have written it down.
So let's move to that.
Yeah, let's do exactly that. Do you want to skip clothing?
At the moment.
Okay, let's go to navigation.
So yeah, obviously,
hold it right there, Craig. I'm going to ruin this party again and say, before you even hit the trail, before you even get in your car, you should be on Google Earth and websites like Wikilocs and planning out your trip. There you go. I said it. Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I guess so. Navigation's all about knowing where you're going and how to get there. So before that's a lot about planning, and then having the gear to help you make that happen.
Physical maps.
Physical maps.
I find them. I really love the GPS. Right. I mean, we probably would have died a few times without it. But the physical maps, the amount of times you and I have kind of folded out the physical map, and then we've got the GPS literally sitting on the map, with a zoomed in section to show where we are, and then we're marrying that up with where we are on the physical map, and then kind of getting to know the terrain around us on a bigger scale. I think that's really useful. I think that leaning towards one or the other is a bit risky. Actually, that's probably not true, because there's people that can use a map and compass way better than I can even use my GPS.
Well, I was quickly going to say that it actually takes a bit of skill to use a GPS correctly, and
that's true.
At first look, it looks easy, and it is, but even when you're, because it zooms in on certain levels and in and out a lot, it's hard to know. Like, a map can be quite good to study beforehand.
Yep.
Much better than a GPS for beforehand to study it.
Yeah, it is much better.
Get to know it.
You can do it on a similar scale when, for example, Garmin, I think, have an app that you can install on your computer, and you can kind of pre-plan your trip, and then you can transfer that data back over to your GPS.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sort of thing, I guess, is the next best thing.
Yeah.
And also, like, that Wikilocs website is where I planned our Stinson hike from, and I actually downloaded other people's GPS trails that had done the first half and the last half.
Yeah.
Which is all I could get.
Put it together.
And then there was the middle section missing, and you and I were using a physical map.
Yeah, we were
in the middle section to get from the extent of the
and that was the
trail.
Crazy part.
That
too.
Was the craziest part. It was hectic.
Yeah,
it was full on me. We were traveling on a trail that. How much do you think that gets used? Not much. In parts, it was
but because of the
hard to follow,
because of the up and down of it on the overhead map, it didn't look that far, and we really underestimated how long it was going to take.
Completely. I remember that second day when it was kind of mid-afternoon or early afternoon. We stopped for another break
or a muesli bar, and I thought we shouldn't be stopping because.
Well, I thought I just need to regroup, and then I kind of thought, oh, wow, we've been keeping up a good clip. We're moving fast. Okay, and then we've looked at where we are with the GPS and absolutely shat ourselves.
Yeah, I remember thinking we've got to keep.
Holy crap, we have got to get over another 2 ridges to get to our campsite.
Yeah.
And it was raining and slippery. And then what would happen was, because this was not a heavily frequented at all, like it was not even a trail in places. It was just it looked like a game trail sort of thing, when you just see a little bit of disturbed dirt. And we lost ourselves a few times, but then you would get to a particular place where, without exaggerating, a 100-foot or more, 150-foot rainforest tree has fallen over in a storm, perpendicular to the trail, and you've either got on the way down, it takes down another 15 trees, and it brings down vines and all sorts of stuff. You either need to navigate your way left or right along the length of the tree, or climb over it, or in some cases we dropped our packs and crawled under it. But when you have to navigate around, all of a sudden you're not on the trail anymore, and that's when it can get pretty risky if you start making wrong turns at those points. Yeah.
So yeah, my only other point on navigation was two things basically: landmarks on the way in and out. So if you don't have a map or a GPS, or assuming you still do, I mean, even if you do, still check. I always have a little look around whenever I can.
That's a great point. I've been saved by that on more than one occasion.
Just get your bearings.
Something that I've written about before is look back the other way at regular intervals, because when you're walking along a trail or whatever it might be, you kind of take in all the features a certain way. The second that you turn around and look back the other way, it looks completely different sometimes.
Sure.
And you just can't even comprehend that you can't find the bit where you turned off, or where was that place we stopped for lunch. Like, nothing looks the same. No, it doesn't look the same because you're looking at it from 180 degrees difference. So I do like to kind of every now and then just stop for a second, swing around, look back down the trail, pick out a few features, and then keep moving along.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this in the last episode. The cans, so the piles of rocks, and that one time that Jeremy and I were hiking back down that canyon, down the river.
Gorge, Coomera.
Down the gorge. And we were coming down at a real, like we got up early that morning, we were coming down at a real pace. And I just looked over to the right and I saw this pile of rocks and I thought, that's interesting. And I took about another 2 steps and I said, whoa, hang on, Jeremy. He was way out in front of me. I said, hang on a second, mate. That's where we have to get off here to find the trail and to link back to get back to our car. And he said, oh, it couldn't be, like it's only taken us, whatever it took us, like 2/3 of the time. We've still got another hour or so of hiking, or half an hour or whatever it might have been. And I said, no, I specifically remember the amount of rocks and the shape of the rocks and where they were, and that's it. And sure enough, we looked 3 meters into the bush and there was the trail. And honestly, if we had gone past that and kept plugging along for another hour, then we would have gone for another hour thinking, oh, we better keep going, and then we better keep going.
Yeah.
I don't think at any point we would have thought, well, let's turn around and go back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm grateful for that
little landmarks, and that's how those
hippie that put that pile of rocks there.
That's how those horrible stories start, mate. So glad you made it out. And so I guess it goes without saying that a lot of this gear has batteries. So make sure you're charged. I've had a lot of gear fail, batteries fail on trips, and so I've got a really good quality power bank. Despite the little bit extra weight in the pack,
That thing's heavy, man.
It is.
It's good.
It is. But it'll last for a week, Well, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, and it's good for when we set up the disco lights at our camp.
It is a bit over the top, actually, but yeah, I've got everything running off.
It wouldn't be so bad if you didn't need to drag that trolley to carry it.
Yeah. No, I do, seriously. I've converted everything to USB supply now, so that I have obviously phones, GPS, stereo pens, head torch, even lanterns. There's a couple of other things.
You have a bit of a brutal stereo pen story about running out of battery or failing, have you not?
That's what hurt me one day when I arrived at a campsite on a solo adventure that I decided I would not need too much water for, but just knew that there was a lovely stream at the bottom of the hill, and it's a decent hill.
It's not a hill, man.
You've been up, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been up there.
It's steep.
Holy heck.
Yeah, so, and I kind of had some water, but I thought, what I'll do, I've got here in heaps of time. I'm on my own, I've got nothing important to do here. So what I'm going to do is run down and grab some dirty water and sterilize it a bit while I'm there and bring it up. So I left the campsite with no water but an empty bottle and decided to just hike down, take my pen and clean up the water at the bottom.
Sorry to interrupt, but we will go into details about what a SteriPen is later. So it's just a way of purifying water. Sorry, mate. Continue.
Yeah. But if anyone from SteriPen is listening, there is no indicator on it. When you I can turn the thing on, and it has.
If anyone from SteriPen, of course they're listening, mate. Everyone listens to this.
Yeah, that's actually not why I was saying it. I just feel like telling them that.
I know what you mean. No, for sure. I think
there was no even because what happens is it works and it comes up that it's fine, but once you start to stir the pen in the water, it just turns off and there's not enough charge to actually do the thing it's got to do. And so you're supposed to stir this thing in the water for 30 seconds and then you can drink it. And I got down there and I had no battery in this SteriPen, and they take these little tiny camera batteries, which are quite
those C3s or C2s or something.
Yeah,
they're weird batteries.
And I actually had some in my bag. I seriously brought a spare set
on top of the mountain.
On top of the mountain, and thought I was fine to travel down. But so then I tried to hike back up with dirty water because Tom has scared the hell out of me never to drink dirty water, right? So I actually had to. So I had to break the rule because I was in a world of pain coming back up this place with no water. So I had this water. It isn't that dirty, but
no, I mean it would have been running clear, wouldn't it, at the time? Yeah.
So I had to drink some water that had not been treated, and that does upset me. But pretty much straight after that, I bought a SteriPen that was rechargeable, and I've carried it with me ever since. And it's great. Before the trips, I charge it up. I've got a cable, obviously, that will recharge it on the trip. It's smaller, it's lighter, it doesn't take batteries, so obviously you don't have to carry spares for that. I love USB charging stuff. So
me too, man. I'm such a convert. All of the stuff that doesn't have USB now, I kind of just stop taking it on hikes, and I've just started replacing it, like, even down to head torches and stuff.
Yeah, my old head torch used to have AAA's, three of them.
Yeah, me too.
So now I've got a USB one. Makes sense.
Yep.
And then I've just got an extra pack for my power bank. No, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. Well, it is. I think we've covered everything there in navigation. As you guys know, because we mentioned it, we're sponsored by Topo Maps Plus. This podcast is, rather. And it's an app on a phone. What's unique about it is every time we tell someone that, they freak out because they say, as soon as you get out of mobile reception, it's useless. It's actually not the case, because it connects to the satellites, and it still can show you where you are on the map. It can, and I tested it in a very remote area on that trip, actually, that we did.
This is a perfect time to mention it because it's a larger screen, than my GPS.
Screen. Yeah, it's a bigger screen. It was in colour.
It's perfect. It does what it's supposed to do. In some ways, you can leave without a GPS when you've got that.
Yeah, since then I have taken it without taking the GPS, because the GPS is. Don't get me wrong, I've got a good one. It's the Garmin Montana 650 T, I think.
Yeah,
and it's great. It's a fantastic unit. It can take photographs and what would you say, geotag them, so you can actually go back later and you can have a visual representation of the places you went to. Anyway, it's really cool. It does everything you want it to do, but it's big. It's like 2 mobile phones strapped together. It's
heavy.
Big. It's heavy.
Yep.
goes through the juice, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that thing!
Yeah.
Like when you plug it in, all the lights in the suburb kind of dim a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it chews the juice, and it does have a little USB charge port. So I have taken power banks before and charged that over multiple day hikes, and I've been very grateful for that. But again, the first time I took that out, I guess I just thought it would last for 2 or 3 days, the battery, and by the end of the first day it was done. And that's not a fault of the device. It's just number crunching, and since then I tend to turn them on in intervals because I'm just sick of charging them. Yeah. So I'll check where I am at the start, drop a pin or something, switch the unit off because I don't care if I don't have the breadcrumbs. And then I'll hike for 2-3 hours, switch it back on. Where are we? Oh yeah, we're doing fine, especially if there's a marked trail. Yeah.
No, but that mobile phone app has made me more confident because I've got a watch with GPS maps. I'm pretty lucky, and I now have that secondary option, so I can leave my heavy GPS on most occasions and have that plus topos, and I'm confident nothing's going to go wrong.
Yeah, something to bear in mind is that when you enter an area, the satellite is not going to send you data to an app. So what you need to do, this might sound a little confusing, you'll be able to see the maps zoomed out. But what you actually need to do, if you're going to go to an area, prior to that trip, zoom into that area, and then you download the maps for the entire area to your phone.
Yep, so important you say that, man.
And then when you get out there and it connects to the satellite, you can still zoom all the way in and see all the features.
Yeah.
But you can still get that GPS location accurately on the maps. If you don't download the maps before, which I've done once, I've gone into an area where I had no phone reception, remembered at the last minute, thought I'd have a look anyway, and all I had was this super kind of zoomed out view where it just had a blue dot on the screen of where I was, and it was useless. No fault of the apps, it was my fault. So yeah, prepare yourself. Again, prepare. Get in there, zoom in, download the maps for the entire area you intend to be in, and then when you do get out there and you lose phone reception, the satellite's going to take care of it. Yeah, cool.
For sure.
Now,
what's next?
Well, you keep evading the clothing chat.
Oh, mate,
you going to go back to that?
I'm just worried about people judging me on my fashion sense. There's going to be lots of comments.
No, there have been. I didn't want to read them out earlier.
It really hurts.
Yeah, I just delete them all. When everyone says stuff about your clothes, I just delete the comments because I don't think it's fair.
Well,
it's your birthday.
I don't actually. You did say maybe think about that as a topic, and I went, well, I don't know what to say or what level to prepare for this. You can take it to the nth degree.
I'll bloody tell you.
You'll tell
Cotton
me.
kills, mate. Cotton kills.
Cotton kills people.
All right. Cotton doesn't kill people.
Let's start again.
Wearing cotton kills people.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, if you ever gone for a jog or whatever and wearing just a normal t-shirt, you know how drenched in sweat it gets, and then how absolutely freezing it gets, and that fact that it does not dry. It's no big deal. Maybe on a little hike or whatever, it doesn't really matter. You can wear your jeans or whatever if you want to wear your cool jeans. That's fine. But it is a problem because people who are unprepared and get caught out in bad weather can very, very, very quickly find themselves in a bad place if they're wearing cotton or something similar.
So I'm glad we're on the same page where your heading is that for survival properties, probably the merino clothing.
Yeah, you want to be sticking towards, my opinion would be, definitely, if you've got the budget, you want to have base layers of merino, even outer layers of merino. Why not?
Yeah.
Merino socks. I've hiked 8 hours up a river.
Yes.
Up to knee deep, up to waist deep water, and had my feet in icy water the entire day. But I had good boots and I had merino socks.
Yeah.
And merino wool is one of the only fibers on the planet that will keep you warm while it is wet and you are wet. And that's something cotton does not do.
Or synthetics. So
so synthetics won't do it. The beauty of synthetics is, like these pants I got on now, I've got some Helly Hansen pants on, they're going to dry quick.
They're going to dry quick, really good for active wear.
Yeah.
So, but that's what it was explained to me, is that synthetic kind of thermals will keep you really warm at night when you're asleep. But if you have to get up and hike in them, it makes you sweat real bad.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do sweat bad. I don't like them.
They don't wick.
No,
that a merino.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't wick in the same way. Almost to the point I find that, because I've got a pair of those skins. Those sporting kind of leggings.
Yeah.
And if I go for a run in them, man, if they get a bit sweaty, and they're freezing cold. It's like a radiator. The air pushes through the wet. So, sure, it's wicked the sweat off me, but then the air's pushing through and it's
cold.
It's actually cooling me down. So, merino's the go.
Yep.
On that same hike we were talking about earlier, I remember because it's quite humid, it was in our summer, during the end of our summer, and it was pouring with rain. And there was a point where I kind of made the decision, hiking with my rain jacket on, I was getting more wet underneath from sweating.
Yep.
So I ended up just taking it off, rolling it up, strapping it to my pack, and I hiked the entire kind of rest of that day, like 6 hours or something, just in a short sleeve merino t-shirt. That was the first t-shirt that Bluey Merino ever sent me, and I've still got it. And I remember just feeling like I was soaking wet, but my core never got cold. It maintained that core heat. My arms got a little bit cold, sure, but we were quite active, and that was okay. I just can't say enough about the merino. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So I was going to obviously mention, I was just going to say, look, just pack a jacket just in case, because most of the time you're out there in your T-shirt, you're out there in your shorts.
Chuck it in anyway.
You're out there in your thongs. And you may have to spend the night. So a jacket makes sense. Minimum preparedness for a hike is to just take a jacket. I think that would get you through the night. Footwear suitable for the conditions. Sunnies may be important. But what I found is that in some situations, like just a pair of glasses is really critical for getting through some obstacles and sticks and crap. So it's almost a safety thing. Same as gloves. Like it wasn't really on my agenda at the beginning of our adventures, but I always take a pair of lightweight leather gloves now.
Yep.
Just in case we've got to handle some stuff, because you don't want to hurt your hands out there.
Yeah.
No, it sounds soft, but
yeah, I've got to keep them pristine for typing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, how am I meant to type emails? No, good point. No, good point. But you know what? Again, we're not. Craig's not talking about walking down the trail like a weirdo with leather gloves. No. He's talking about these situations, like I mentioned before, where these massive trees go down and we got to navigate our way through thorns and all sorts of weird tropical rainforest vines and everything like that. So
Yeah, we've had to make some shelters, and it was
yeah, that's right.
made a difference.
It did. That hike I did the week before last, that little solo thing I did. I chucked just a really light jacket in, and it got to about. So I was in the rainforest, and it got to about sort of 3 in the afternoon, and the temperature dropped by about 6 or 7 degrees. And yeah, I had to put the jacket on. I mean, it wasn't in any danger, but it got cold, man, real quick. You should just have it. If I got, let's say for argument's sake, I got a light shower of rain, and then the wind picked up, all of a sudden, you're starting to get into a dangerous place.
Actually, that's what I was going to say about just pack a jacket or pack a space blanket, because if you don't think you're going to need a jacket for your hike because it's daytime, you're likely to get back to the car in time, just have a sort of a survival bivvy or something.
Yeah, for those of you new to hiking gear, it's not something... Space blanket's not what it sounds like.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. But I think that...
It's those crappy, that crinkly silver plastic that you wrap around. It's not something that you wear to...
Because just in case.
On the space shuttle.
Yeah, because I think, like, I haven't got a shelter thing. I haven't got a shelter topic here. So I guess clothing becomes your shelter.
You failed, mate.
Have you got one?
Marking you down. Marked you down. D.
So you've got a shelter
D
topic.
Minus.
Because I believe that's very important.
Goodness. Shelter and sleeping, mate.
Yeah. And so I thought...
Sleeping gear.
Clothing.
That's what I'm here for, mate. Don't you worry.
What have we got? What have we got beyond?
What have got you covered, mate. It's all right.
All right.
Yeah. Have another drink.
All right.
Don't wrap your foot around my cleat again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not ready to go there yet. I want to... actually, I am ready to go there. No. Layers. Just quickly, to finish off on the clothing. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to tell a very unfortunate story, and then I'm going to talk about layering. Can you remind me after the unfortunate story to talk about layering?
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
I was contacted by a group who were searching for a family member who went into the wilderness, into the mountains as a tourist in Australia, and the weather was perfect. This person was wearing jeans and a normal t-shirt. They didn't have a jacket. They had a water bottle. They went into the wilderness, and the first day of snow rolled in extremely early for that region, as in weeks early. The weather changed. The storm rolled in, and it snowed something like 0.5 meter to 1 meter of snow in 24 hours. That person didn't even have a jacket, and they were wearing cotton. I don't know if they were ever found. I'm not sure about that. I've tried to look it up. But I know after 2 weeks, they were still looking. And this is a bit morbid, I apologise. That's when I kind of thought to myself, they're basically asking me to come and join this search team. And when I kind of dug a little deeper and told them to give me all the details, and then I politely declined. And I know that sounds absolutely terrible, but I knew that at that point they were looking for a dead body. They were not looking for a person who's miraculously survived, right? That's a terrible story.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell that story because it's I don't know, if somebody listens to this and it just triggers them to grab that jacket or something on the way out, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just bear that in mind, how quickly things change. Mother Nature does not give a shit about you.
Yep.
She's doing her thing.
Yep.
Doesn't care when she does it.
Yep.
You are just existing in her realm, and you don't know what's going to happen. So, it's pretty full on, and but it just spells out a lot of things we've just been saying, and that's about, quite simply, being prepared, right?
Yep. Clothing and shelter.
It was, clothing. If you had adequate clothing, that doesn't mean expense. It just means the right fabrics, a rain jacket, box of matches, a space blanket, a whistle. We laughed at that whistle earlier. The guy didn't go that far off the trail. People were looking for him. If he had all the other pieces in place and he's broken his leg and he's laying there and then he's throwing out these whistle calls every 2 or 3 minutes,
yeah,
it would be in a different story, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I said before, these stories pop up all the time in the news feed, and it just scares me that inexperienced people think they can throw themselves out there and come out unscathed. Layers. Thank you, Craig. A slightly more positive topic of layers. What you want to do is not just wear a t-shirt. When I say t-shirt now, I'm talking about an adequate t-shirt. So I'm talking about a quick dry synthetic t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt or a merino shirt. You don't want to have that and then straight on to your heaviest, warmest jacket, because once you start to move, especially under pack weight, you're going to sweat, and it's going to be very, very difficult to regulate. Once you sweat, then you're wet. Again, we're just going around in circles here, but it's not where you want to be. What you want to do is have several lighter layers. So maybe you want to run this is just for argument's sake, right? A short sleeve merino, then a long sleeve over that, then a nice kind of those microfiber sort of long sleeve jackets and with the little collars that pop up, maybe something like that. Then over that, maybe you want to put I'm talking about really cold weather here. You might want to chuck a down vest, or you might want to chuck a long sleeve down, or then you might want to put a outer shell which cuts the wind out so that that's not penetrating through to your core. Mm-hmm. Then when you start to work up a sweat, you remove maybe the down layer, put that away in your pack safely, and maybe you want to drop a merino layer. What I'm saying is you can regulate yourself by dropping layers and adding layers depending on what's happening with the weather and your physical exertion throughout the day. It's not the same as wearing a t-shirt and grabbing a jacket or a jumper on the way to work. It's different to that. It's extremely different to that. And you can really only get that honed in when you've been out there a few times. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I still make the mistakes every now and then of it always happens in the morning, right? You get up, it's freezing cold, you break camp, you have 3 layers on or something, you hike for literally 10 minutes, and you go, oh, hang on, man, I got to stop for a minute, I got to take my jacket off.
Yeah.
Because your body's just, the furnace is going, you've just had breakfast, the furnace is going, you've exerted yourself under pack weight, and all of a sudden you're warm. Now, if you don't take that layer off and you sweat, you're putting yourself in danger. I'm going to stop talking about layers, okay? Oh, Craig, tell us about where do we go from there? Let's jump to pretty difficult segue. First aid kit?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's do that. And when I say, or do you want to go to, do you want to wrap into the shelter and sleeping stuff? That might be a more graduated.
Yeah, it makes sense to
segue.
follow that because it's really important, the shelter, because you got to have something prepared for staying overnight, and no one does when you're on a day trip.
No, I carry, as part of my, I guess it does fit into that now.
Well, I'm keen to hear what you got.
Well, in my first aid kit, I have my
Soul bivvy.
Soul emergency bivvy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is shelter, right?
Well, it's an emergency shelter. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can still add to that if you want to drag a few branches over, or if you want to get in a overhang or something. That's great. But as the bare minimum, you're going to be able to maintain your core temperature.
Yeah.
There is a review that we did
On that, yeah.
on the Soul bivvy. That's worth checking out. There's many more models have come out since then, but you're still going to get a pretty good idea of what they're about and how small they are, right? And we lived in ours for 4 days.
Yeah.
It's, we decided to set ourselves a little kind of survival challenge to test a lot of our gear, and I think for the most part to test ourselves, we went to an area that we knew, so I'd kind of call that a controlled environment. We hiked right out into the back of this, was probably like 3,000-4,000 acres or something, wasn't it? Yeah, something like that. And
it's not quite
not
that.
quite that?
No.
3,000? Yeah, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
It's a lot, right? It took us a whole day to hike out into this wilderness, and then we just took a survival kit each and camera gear. It was funny because we both carried these massive backpacks, and all our backpacks had in them was the camera gear and tripods and GoPros and batteries and all sorts of crap. And the actual stuff that we were carrying for shelter was just in a pouch on our belts.
Yeah.
So we ended up sleeping for 3 nights in these Soul emergency bivvies, just to kind of see how bad it would get. And they were fantastic, really good. I mean, we were pretty, I like to think we were pretty clever. We set up, I had one of those cheap kind of rectangular space blankets, and we cut that up and lined the inside of our crappy little shelter. And then we would sleep in the shelter in the Soul bivvy bags with the fire in front of us reflecting up in there. And we were simmering, right? We were roasting.
Yeah, they were excellent. They worked really well.
Yeah, yep. They're cool. Check them out. Check out anything like that. I think it's worth just shoving into your backpack, into your survival kit, into your first aid kit.
First aid kit. I can see how that fits in with that now. So perhaps it can be considered part of that. What else? Have you got anything else in shelter though? Like, because you can't take much with you.
Well, I mean, on a standard hike, I think that it's important to do a bit of research into what weather you're likely to hit. I own a synthetic sleeping bag, and I also own a down sleeping bag. And things can go pretty south pretty quick with a down bag if you
get it wet.
Yeah. So if something fails with your shelter or you mess up, I always have my sleeping gear and all my clothing in separate dry bags sealed inside my pack. So even that hike we were talking about, again, I'll go back to that once more because it was such a good example. We got rained on all day. Our packs were wet. when it came time to set up our shelters, they were pulled from dry bags within the pack, and they were absolutely bone dry. My sleeping bag, bone dry. I put on a fresh layer of clothing, got into a warm sleeping bag. By that time, I was actually pretty cold because the sun went down. I was freezing.
Yeah.
But I got into 2 pairs of toasty merino socks and my the rest of my gear, and had a fantastic night's sleep. Got my core temperature back up. No dramas at all. Had that sleeping bag got wet, I would have been in big trouble.
Yeah, but I guess we're also talking to people who aren't expecting to stay the night, though. You're unlikely to pack a sleeping bag.
Oh, in that case, you've got to be reliant on that emergency bivvy or space blanket.
Yeah, so I guess that it's really important to know a bit about how to build a shelter.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair call, and I guess I want to plug that into the earlier comment that I made about preparing, and also knowing your limits and understanding your skills and improving your skills. I feel like after we pitched ourselves on that ridiculous 4-day survival thing,
and that other one earlier.
Oh yeah, the failed one.
The failed one.
Yeah. So we tried to go out for 3 days, and we made every mistake known to man.
With all that rain, trying to build a shelter.
Stupid, because in hindsight, it was hilarious. Like, as soon as I got back to civilization and it was warm and I wasn't getting rained on, I could think of multiple ways of avoiding what we did.
Yeah.
Easily. So we lasted
I spot natural.
Not even 24 hours, and we were trying to go for 3 or 4 days, and we got rained on, everything got wet, we were wet.
Yeah.
And we just bailed.
I spot natural shelters all the time now.
Yeah.
You know, where you could have a hollow tree that you could easily build into a camp for the night. And, you know, but I never would have noted that until I had a bit of experience outdoors. So, yeah, I actually think prioritising things, food and water, you can last for 3 days without water, they say. You can last, weeks without food. So priority in an emergency often becomes shelter.
Yeah, number one, you know how quickly you can move into hypothermia.
Yeah. Just
as important as keeping your core warm is keeping it cool. It's wearing a hat. It's grabbing a hat.
Mm-hmm.
It's understanding that when it's overcast, you're still going to get fried. You're still going to get sunburnt.
Yeah.
When you're in snow conditions, you're still going to get sunburnt. You should have face protection. If it's not sunscreen, it should be physical protection against windburn and that reflective sun off the snow as well. That, I guess, loops back into clothing again. So, yeah, Craig, a really good point there in knowing what to do, and I don't think I closed the loop well enough there, but what I was trying to say is when we hike now, I have a base level understanding of my capabilities without all the fancy gear. So I kind of know where I can get to without my sleeping bag or without a shelter if something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely not go straight into panic mode because we've been there before in a more controlled environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is getting deep. Deeper than I thought. No, look, I knew this was going to be a long podcast. You can't just flippantly blast through these things. Let's continue on the first aid kit, Craig.
Yeah, sure.
What sort of stuff have you got in yours? Mine's certainly evolved from what I would have had in, I'd like to call it a survival kit, and then what it's evolved to now that lives in the top of my pack in a big fluoro dry bag is my first aid kit, and that's quite a different to what I would have carried 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I hope you say it's quite minimal, really,
But it's
because
much more minimal.
we don't. Yeah, I guess my main thing, the number one thing that I consider, the most important thing I consider, is a snake bite compression bandage in Australia.
Yeah, it's a fair call.
So I don't go anywhere without it, actually. It's become really a big deal to me to carry that, even if there's nothing else for my first aid.
Yeah, it's a fair call, man. I don't think I've got a significant one. I've got bandages that I could fashion into.
Is that right? I would have been surprised to hear you say that. I think that it's pretty...
Well, normally I just suck the venom out. Yeah, just cut it. And then
I think it's one of the biggest threats we've got.
Don't do that, people. That is a joke. Don't do it. It's bullshit.
It is.
From Hollywood.
It is. You need to have a stretchy compression bandage for immobilizing the limb or whatever.
In a nutshell. Put the bandage on where the bite mark is. Move the continue to put the bandage on down to the end of the extremities, and then all the way back over, back up to the torso again. So, let's say you get bitten on the knee. You start the bandage at the knee, go all the way down to the toes, probably just leaving the toes out. Move all the way back up over the knee and all the way back up as high as the bandage will go until you run out.
Yep.
Yeah. Just a nice firm, not too tight.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm about to say something I haven't even tried, but they've got these fancy ones now. Have you seen them where you can stretch the bandage and it's got these rectangles all the way along the bandage, and when you stretch them, they become a square at the right compression.
Oh, wow.
Fancy bandages. I'd love to get my hands on them because I think it makes sense.
Yeah, so you're basically saying that they've used a fabric, or they've created a fabric that uses technology to get that compression just
so that you stretch it so that they become squares, not rectangles.
Oh, you use that as a visual
so you can
trigger?
See you've got it tight enough.
Yes, I've heard of this. Yes,
it makes sense.
You're right. Yeah, I've heard. That is cool.
Otherwise, you're guessing because you can do it too tight. You can really mess it up.
Another problem.
Other problems with toxins and stuff.
Exactly.
So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's a fair call, mate.
Other than that, really, it's
for me. I always think of the little things that we just gloss over here. The little things that happen in our everyday lives at home that aren't that big of a deal because we can deal with them instantly or in a different way. And we don't have any expectations of what we need to do because we're at home. Things like getting something in your eye, right?
Yep.
At home, getting something in your eye means, okay, I'm going to go in the bathroom, I'm going to try and flush it out. I've got running water.
Yeah,
that's pretty bloody handy. I've got tweezers. I might have another family member there to come and look at it. I can turn the light on, get really good light on the case, and let's check this out. If it's that bad, I don't have to drive anywhere. Someone will come and drive me to the hospital and we'll get that thing removed, right? It's not cool, but it's not a big deal. Sometimes, within a few minutes, you've rectified the situation. When you're on the trail, everything's magnified. It's magnified by a lot. If you get something in your eye on the trail, who knows how bad that can be? Who knows how far you've got yourself into the wilderness that makes that a much more critical. Can you then not open one eye, is it excruciating pain? And what pressure does that put on the group? Like, there's all these repercussions. Like,
yeah, the eye one does worry me.
The eye one's is
because of what we do.
Yeah,
it's possible. It's very possible.
I guess it doesn't quite worry me as much as like a mechanical injury, like a broken leg or something like that.
It's probably not as threatening to your life, but
no, but it is. I think it's probably physically worse in a way.
It'd be horrible.
That sounds stupid. But what I'm saying is, if one of us broke our leg, it's a case of, right, we're just going to make a decision here. Are you going to? Is the other person going to go for help, or are we just going to both sit there? The other person stays for comfort and morale, and you just hit that personal locator beacon. Put the kettle on, man. Make a coffee.
Yeah.
Sit there and tell jokes and take some selfies.
Yeah, right. Because
for later, you know what I mean? Like there's,
yeah.
It's just time to kind of accept the fact that you're probably going to be there for another 24 to 48 hours, maybe more, depending on where you are.
Yeah. Well, I've put a couple of other things we're likely to encounter. And
is this in your
first aid kit?
Yeah, cool. I want to hear this because I feel like at the start our first aid kits were kind of like clones, and then over the years we've never really talked about what we specifically carry, which is probably a bit silly because we should know what we've got.
Well, I carry a couple of tablets for Imodium or vomiting and diarrhea shit. Right?
Exactly the same. Again, another thing that if you're at home and it's going crazy down there, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Just go to bed.
Antihistamine for allergies.
Likewise.
Panadol and Nurofen.
Just to be clear, that's paracetamol and
ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen, is that how you say it? Yep.
And anything stronger, if you can get your hands on it, is not a bad thing.
I know people that have got stronger stuff.
Yeah, you can get stronger stuff.
I just don't know much about it or how to get it or what to ask for.
It'd be good to get some real strong meds in your kit, but I don't at this stage have access to that. Antiseptic, which is a cream like
creams and wipes, alcohol wipes. Sorry.
Yep. So I've got eye wash written there, which is just a saline and so forth.
It's I've got a little mini saline thing. You just snap the end off and squirt it into the wound or your eye.
And then I think we're just going to be dealing with cuts and bleeding, burns, and broken bones, and those things take. Yeah, just a little bit of know-how, not much first aid stuff.
So you're talking about plasters and bandages, and I've got a triangle bandage in there as well for if I had to support a broken arm and just stabilise it.
Cool.
Which you could also do with any bandage anyway. You just tie it up around the neck.
But those are things that could happen out there, and you've
absolutely. And again, they're small things. Well, they're not all small things, but some of them are only small things.
And so it
like
makes
the
sense.
Antihistamine thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's no big deal, right? If it happens here, you go, oh, my eyes closed. But out there, imagine that if you were solo or something and you got some pollen or something crazy in your eyes and they both started to close up, man, holy heck. Things would change pretty quickly and you'd start to panic. If you can't see or operate or whatever, you got a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense also to consider a recognised first aid course.
Mate, that's what I was thinking as I was writing my list. Yeah. I thought, I know, because you're up to date, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not. And I always think I'm lucky to be out there with you because
having said that, I'm definitely not up to date on the CPR because that's a every year thing.
So you retrain for it, okay?
But I've done it several times. I don't know when the last one was, where you go and do the course. Yep. And I don't mind if that sort of stuff lapses, to be honest, as long as you know you've done the training on it.
Well, yeah, you've done it a few times.
I've done it a few times.
I've only done it. I did it once when I did my life-saving course. Yeah. But that was a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I was going to say I couldn't remember it now to save myself, but it's more about couldn't remember it to save someone else.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Which could be you. So
I better think about that. That's not funny.
I had it on my list tweezers because
I do too. I wasn't going to say
nothing more annoying than when your eyebrows start to look bad on the trail. No, splinters, man, and the weird thorns that we get. Oh man, there's been plenty of times I've got home and start to see little infections on my hands where there's still bits of thorn in my fingers.
Yeah.
Because your first point of contact with everything is usually your hands when you're climbing through stuff.
Yeah.
Here's my other one. Here's my wild card, mate. And
Okay.
you'll know exactly why I've got this in there.
Is it ticks and leeches?
Well, that's the...
Insect bites?
No, I've got salt.
Salts, yeah. I was just thinking about it.
The leeches.
It isn't on my list, but I bet you that would be...
I carry salt all the time. And I thought it was an old wives' tale. And I remember we took it on a particular hike. The hike where... it was quite funny in itself. We ran into this guy coming the opposite way, and we were having a chat to him, and his legs were just covered in blood. And he goes, "Oh yeah, the leeches are really hitting me today." And I was kind of thinking, "Wow, man, he should have been more prepared." And then after he went past, we kind of checked ourselves a bit, and underneath my gaiters, for anyone who doesn't know, the gaiters are those kind of heavy canvas things that you run sort of from just below the knee down to your boots, and they're really handy for saving your legs from brush, thorns, anything just going past your shins. Anyway, I take my gaiters off and I counted 18 leeches all up inside my gaiters everywhere. And the first thing I thought was, get that salt out, and you sprinkle salt on them, and in a millisecond they drop off.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah.
The second that salt hits them, they're off. And then I kind of, I don't mind getting a bit of that salt into the area as well, just for that kind of antiseptic properties, I guess. Or, yeah. But I also, every now and then you kind of, if you get a bit of a sore throat or whatever, you can just put that some of the salt in the water, and you can gargle that as a like a remedy to kind of hold off any of those throat infections and stuff like that. It works quite well. Obviously, you can clean wounds with if you don't have the more convenient saline solutions for your eyes or a wound, you can just make that up yourself. So yeah, I reckon salt, man. Salt is king. Oh, Craig's showing me a photo of him on a different trip where he has a necklace of leech bites.
Yeah. It's a full-on...
I remember when you took that photo. You took your...
I've got them in my beard and stuff.
You took you had one on your eye.
One on my eye. Eyelid.
I had like 0.
I'd wiped them off by that stage, but like you can see the marks where that was sucking on me.
Oh, then that was freaky. I remember, I don't know, did you take your shirt off before, or did you just, no, you just kind of like, I think I saw one hanging off your ear.
No.
Or your neck, and I was like, oh, you got a leech. And then I said, just pull your collar down a bit, and you pulled your shirt down, and there was about 15 around your neck.
I felt so embarrassed. I had to go to the doctor when I got back.
Did you?
I don't know. They were really itchy, and I just thought I better go. I told him I had like about 100 bites, and he's gone, yeah, right. And I took my clothes off and showed him. They were all over, and he's gone, wow, I've never seen anything like this. You know?
Did you have more in your shirt and everything?
Oh, they're all around where my belt goes, and all up my legs.
Crap, I didn't know about all those because obviously we were still fully clothed, but.
Yeah, it would have been
heading
close
home.
to 100 bites. Yeah.
Holy heck, I had no idea.
Yeah, it was pretty
That's
bad.
ridiculous,
That day was
man.
Insane, mate.
That was full on.
And I tell you what, it was the least of our worries. You know?
It was. Leeches come at me. We got bigger problems than
we were
this.
worried about them at the start of the day, and then
yeah. Wow, that's incredible. They creep me out. I don't like anything that extracts blood from me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it does not go down well. Let's move from first aid into water. Water purification and filtration. I think it's important to be clear about those words. There's Filtration is usually referring to the removing of heavy objects from the water, so your minerals and your sediment and stuff like that, leaves, sticks, bits of algae, stuff like that. Purification is then taking the filtrated water and actually making that safe to drink, because there's microscopic pathogens and disease is not the right word. You know what I mean? There's bad stuff in there. And you can't see that stuff. So the problem is you filter it and it looks fantastic. Or you go to a stream that is crystal clear and scoop up water out of that. This is where Craig's been scared, because I tell him all of this creepy stuff. Like things like E. coli and stuff that swim around in the water, and it's microscopic and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it can, not only can it make, most of the time it's not going to actually make that, if you're only on a 2-day hike or something, it's actually it's not going to make that hike bad, and you're going to get out. The problem is two things. If you're on an extended hike, say you're hiking for 8 days, and it's a end-to-end hike with no vehicle access in the middle, if you get this, if this hits you somewhere in between, you got a real problem, because you're going to be dealing with not only the physical aspects of vomiting and requiring many more pairs of underwear, but the dehydration aspects, anything like fever and all of these sorts of things. Or you only go on a day hike and you drink from the stream and it doesn't matter, I got back safe. And then you have to deal with it and perhaps have a lifelong gut bug or disease like Giardia or something that sticks with you for 10 years or whatever. So I think it's worth taking it seriously. Now, this one ties perfectly back to any sort of disaster preparation, because if you look at was it Hurricane? Was it Katrina? Was that the really? That was a massive one in the States, right? One of the biggest problems, or the reasons that disease spread so fast throughout that area, was the water. Because what happens is, in places that floods, all of a sudden you've got all of the sewage treatment areas or underground sewage gets flooded, and then that's coming up into the water table, and it's the same place you get new water. So as soon as the taps stop working, there's much bigger problems. So yeah, it kind of ties in perfectly. It's the sort of thing that you should be aware of no matter what you're doing, but especially when you're hiking. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways of doing it. There's some absolutely ridiculous ways, which are kind of antiquated methods, which I wouldn't recommend, but they actually do work. Like, some people say you use bleach, like actual bleach. It's true, it works, but then you're drinking bleach, albeit in small doses. Right. Don't do that one either. Don't suck the blood out of your mate's snake bite and then go and pour bleach in his water.
Don't do either
Both of those things are not good. But it works. Look, if it was an emergency, you could do it. You'd get away with it. Sunlight. You could put water into a bottle, leave it in the sunlight for an extended period, and the UV will break down a lot of the bad stuff in that.
Yeah, sure.
These things work. They just take a bloody long time. Distillation. So setting up a still where, you know what I mean, don't you? So you're getting the evaporation.
Yeah.
It's leaving all the bad stuff behind. It evaporates and then drips down in like a solar still. So it drips down into your vessel.
Yep.
What drips in there is pure water. Takes ages. Boiling water, it's really good. It gets rid of almost everything. What these methods don't get rid of is toxins. So if the water is toxic, and what I mean by toxic, that's different to, what's the word I'm looking for, Craig?
Dirty.
Yeah, dirty. I was trying to look for something a bit more eloquent than dirty, but you're right. It's dirty water.
Cloudy.
It's different because a toxin is poisonous, right? Yeah. So we have this thing in Australia. I don't know if it's worldwide. I actually meant to Google it before we did this podcast. It's called blue-green algae. It's a kind of an algae type of slime that grows in a lot of the waterways. And it's quite literally shut down areas in the past. You can't swim there. You can't drink the water from there. And, mate, why don't you just tell us? He's trying to sneak off. He's 2 beers down.
All this talk about
water. Listeners, he has left me. For the first time in our podcast history, Craig has left the party. I'll keep talking because he wasn't very interested in it anyway. I should tell you stories about Craig while he's not here. I just can't think of any. Nothing's coming to mind. Okay, back to the water. Blue-green algae. It grows in the water. When it dies, it kind of dissolves into the water and it's actually poisonous. So if you boil water, boiling the water may kill pathogens and germs and E. coli and stuff like that because of the extreme temperature. But it's not going to kill a toxin because a toxin's not a living creature. It's poisonous water. Thankfully, there are other ways of dealing with toxins, and that's things like carbon-activated filters. The products like the Life Straw, I believe, are carbon-activated filters that you suck the water through. I think the soya is also a carbon filter. I know that platypus make a filter similar to that, which you the water flows through, kind of drip feeds through, and leaves all of that bad stuff behind. The platypus is pretty cool because it actually leaves sediment behind as well. Now, the Grail is something that I've been using for... Craig, welcome back. I couldn't think of any stories to tell him about you while you were gone, so you're lucky.
That's lucky.
You feel better?
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks.
So the Grail is something I've been using for a while. I actually tested it for a long time before I even did a review on it. There is a review on YouTube that Craig and I put together. And when I was out on that hike just the other week, Craig, I actually knocked up a quick little video of me changing the filter on mine for the first time.
Yeah, I think you told me that. So how'd it go?
It went really well. It was incredibly easy. I mean, ridiculously easy. If I wasn't talking to the camera, I probably could have done it in about 15 seconds, or maybe 30 seconds with opening the packet. It was really cool. It was good. And the difference in, you know how, for those of you who don't know the Grail, it's almost like a coffee plunger. That is the sound of salt and vinegar chips. You just keep eating, I'll keep talking. Where was I? It's like a coffee plunger. You push the filter into the water rather than a lot of the traditional filters are forcing water through the filter, if that makes sense. So the filter on that is a carbon-activated filter, so it's also got silver in it, and those elements actually allow a lot of these toxins and stuff to stick to them and won't let them physically through the filter. Plus, you're getting rid of all the bad stuff as well. I do use the Grail. It's the only one I use now. I used to use the SteriPen. The SteriPen may require pre-filtering to get out sediment. if it's too heavy. Because here's the thing with the SteriPen. Now, don't get me wrong, I used the SteriPen for a couple of years. I do like that device. What I don't like is when the batteries go flat.
Yep.
What I don't like is the thought of breaking that UV light bulb on the trail and having no backup.
Could get.
But if there's sediment in the water,
doesn't work.
The UV light is not shining on, it's probably a better way of saying it, every little particle of water.
Yeah.
So say, for example, there's a couple of grains of dirt stuck together. You're shining the light on all of the water, but in between those couple of grains, there's some nasty E. coli or something. If the light doesn't shine on that, it's still there. And when you ingest it, you've got it. It's in your system.
Yeah.
So you must have pre-filtered water, so no sediment.
Yeah.
And then use the SteriPen, and it's highly effective.
Yeah. So obviously, like a liter of dam water, it ain't gonna.
It's not going to work at all. You're going to have to pre-filter that through, even if it's just through a T-shirt or a bandana. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you need to get that water clear before you start working with it.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing with the SteriPen: it doesn't kill anything.
No. I love this, actually. You've told me this before. I think that's
amazing. Really interesting.
Yeah.
It sterilizes. When I say sterilize, I mean the viruses can no longer reproduce, so they're sterile.
Yeah, the bacteria.
So the bacteria cannot reproduce. It cannot multiply.
Yep.
So you're still drinking the
bacteria.
bacteria.
Bacteria goes in.
Bacteria goes in
and
your
goes
body.
out.
Yeah. It goes out because it doesn't have an effect of its own, and it can't multiply into billions to actually make a problem for you.
It's amazing, actually.
It is pretty cool.
Whereas like boiling the water will probably kill the bacteria.
That's right. It's actually dying. And then stuff like carbon activated filters are not even allowing them to move through the filter. So they're not killing it either. Yeah, it's not killing it either.
Catching it.
It's just saying, hey, you stop here, and the water moves through, and then you drink it.
Which is what the Grail
does. Correct. Yep. And I think the Life Straw and another version of the Platypus and the Sawyer. I was talking about those while you were dealing with your water problem. Purification tablets.
Yeah, I was going to mention them.
I've never used them. I've got a bottle of them.
I've actually got some in my first aid kit. I should have mentioned that.
Yeah. Good call, yeah. So, of course, chuck them in your first aid kit just for emergency purification. But apparently, so I know they take about 20 minutes to work.
Yeah.
They only do a certain volume of water, so you have to make sure you've got the right amount of tablets for the right amount of water. And so you wait for your 20 minutes, and then you're ingesting whatever it is in that tablet as well with the water.
It does have a taste about it.
Apparently it tastes like shit. Not literally. It tastes not good.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say if you're going to use a purification tablet, then chuck some hydration powder or something in to drink it just to take that taste off. So I'm putting that in the category more of like a emergency survival purification method.
Or if you're on a budget, because it's really cheap. And
yeah, I mean, people do it. People, I know, because I see it on YouTube. Like people have their water bottle. They just scoop up the water out of this stream, pop 2 tablets in it, put the lid back on, chuck it in their pack.
Yeah,
they know they're not going to drink it till lunchtime. By then, it's purified. Good luck to them. That's fine.
That's pretty quick and easy, really.
It is really. It's it doesn't suit me. That's not what I want. But each to their own. That's why this is always with this hiking stuff. It's never a how-to. It's always a how do you want to do it? Kind of advice. Like, here's 10 different ways. You pick what works for you.
Yeah, 100%.
What's convenient.
Yep.
The only other thing, Craig, I've only really got 2 more things on my list, unless you've got something that you wanted to add. I wrote down food, and then I figured that I'll only say a little bit on food, okay? Because food's a fairly logical thing. It's something that we don't tend to forget because we're always reminded through hunger. The only thing I'm going to say is take extra snacks. Because as soon as you get moving, on the trail, just any sort of outdoor activity, canoeing, whatever it is, you're just burning more calories. You just want to eat more, and you'll just be generally feel better for it. And the other thing is, if you're on a multi-day hike, I always chuck in like an extra meal, dehydrated meal.
Yep, I do too.
Yeah, we're talking about 200 grams or something shoved in the side of your pack, 1 or 2 of those. If things go bad and you unexpectedly need to stay longer, let's go back to that scenario. One of your team members break their leg. You decide to go out and get help. You know by the time that you go out and get help and come back, that person's going to be in the wilderness for longer than you anticipated being there. So if you've got an extra couple of meals, that's no drama at all. It's no drama whatsoever. You can say, well, hey, it's going to take me 2 days to get back. Yeah. I'll take 1 meal. You keep the other one here. Mm-hmm. Here's a couple of muesli bars. They're spares. Didn't need them. And obviously the person going out for help is gonna get food and water first. So yeah, pile up the person who's got to wait there with the broken fingernail and with the broken leg, and it's a simple one, man.
That's exactly what I was going to say, man.
Yeah, I don't need to dwell on that at all.
A few extra calories.
Just take extra
that you'll probably bring home.
You'll bring it home. Yeah, I always bring it home. And if you get calorie dense food, it doesn't take up much room, so it doesn't matter. It's crazy not to. We touched on it briefly. The only other topic I had was lighting. The reason I mention it is because I think you mentioned it earlier too. Sometimes you're going to find yourself taking longer than you think, and you're going to get back to camp later than you think, or something's going to go wrong, and you're going to get lost a little bit, but it's okay. You find your way, but you're going to get back after dark.
Yeah.
And something as simple as a head torch means a world of difference. It means safe hiking at night. We've done plenty of moving around at night with head torches.
Yep.
And never had a problem. It means setting up camp quickly and efficiently. And then from there, I guess, getting your priorities right, like getting that water filtered, getting the meals on, changing your clothes, whatever it might be. That head torch, I would say, would double the speed you can do anything, if not more.
They're the most sensible way of having lighting is a head torch, I believe.
Oh, I 100% agree. I mean, lanterns are cool, but if the lantern's behind you and you're mucking around on the other side of your tent, your shelter or whatever, you can't see.
But these are so small, lightweight.
So small. The
batteries are fantastic.
Super powerful.
They have SOS features if you do get in a situation. I think they tick all those boxes too.
And they're rechargeable.
Really, we don't need any other lights if you've got a decent head torch. It's incredible.
No, I do not carry a hand torch anymore because they're a pain in the ass because you need a hand to operate them.
Yeah.
Whereas the head torch you're actually getting jobs done while you're wearing the head torch. No, they're mandatory. I'd be chucking that in my day pack. I do. I throw head torches in to half-day hikes.
Same with me and the snake bite bandage. It's just like that thing I
Exactly. My half-day hike bag will have the same first aid kit as my 7-day hike bag.
Yeah.
It'll have the same head torch. It'll have a couple of lighters in it, and also a fire steel, just in case. These things are small. Just chuck them in. What's the big deal? Yeah. There you go. Do you have anything to add to that, mate?
Only other thing I've got is a commando knife.
Commando, specifically?
Yeah. Tools.
So not just a knife, but
no, big serrated one side and
that
massive.
cuts barbed wire.
You can shave with it.
Has a Well, I mean, it's got everything in it.
Yeah.
It's got a compass.
Oh, no.
got a fishing
calm
rod.
down. Calm down. No, I'm just seeing Sylvester Stallone walking off into the distance with one. And
They're really good if you have bullet wounds. You just heat them up in the fire and you can seal a wound.
Yeah.
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 Handy.
But otherwise, tools make sense. So
tools is good. I think there's a misconception that a knife is considered either a toy or a weapon or I don't know. I think that a lot of hikers think, I'll just take a crappy little pen knife. Now, a pen knife's better than no knife. I've got a couple of proper Swiss Army knives. What are they pronounced? Victorinox, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
The legitimate brand. They're good quality, excellent. But they fail as a more heavy duty tool. That's why I've got some sheathed knives.
Yeah.
And I'll take one of those. I've also got a couple of heavy duty folders.
Yeah.
That can do some bigger work. They can make a tent peg if I've forgotten my tent pegs. They could make tent poles if I break a tent pole. Like, they can do that little bit extra work.
Yeah, and also I think what I was getting at is you can bring your commando knife to cut the venom from your mate's leg if you want.
Oh, that's
right?
That's pretty much.
Mostly what I've identified is just a multi-tool.
Yeah,
multi-tool is very good feature for even just for a first aid kit option. But
on that note, I mean, if you've got your Rambo knife, I mean,
that's what I mean.
If you don't want to suck the venom out, just amputate. Just take the whole limb off. It's cleaner.
Oh, jeez.
So many lawsuits.
Oh, jeez.
Coming our way.
We're going to say the wrong thing.
People say, I listened to these guys. They said, don't do it. Don't do the things we say.
No.
Knives are excellent. A very good tool and an excellent point you made, mate, because I didn't have that in my list. Even though I had a knife in my pocket all day at home, and there's always one in my pack. They're handy. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call, man. That's it, eh? I really
good. That's
got
it.
Nothing. I don't even know how to wrap this up. I guess
if people are still listening at this point, they've done a marathon.
They've done a marathon. They may have done this marathon over several stints, several commutes.
Yeah.
Or a very, very, very long drive.
Well done getting to the end.
Yeah, good on you. Good on you for listening.
Yeah.
Despite all of the crap in between, there is some stuff there you really should kind of consider and get yourself prepared.
Yeah.
To all of our US friends who are just about to enter the Preparedness Month, I hope you don't need any of that. I hope everything goes smooth and you don't have any of those natural disasters. I hope that any of you guys hiking, canoeing, biking or whatever don't need to use any of these things we're talking about. But lay down the foundations, prepare, do a bit of research, make sure you know what you're doing, tell people about it and get out there and have a bloody good time, because you certainly can have more fun when you've ticked off all of the important boxes.
Damn straight.
All right, friends. Thanks for listening. See ya.
Thanks, guys.
If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, we'd really appreciate your ratings and comments if you can spare the time. If you'd like to know more about HikeordieTV and keep track of our adventures around Australia, make sure you drop by Hikeordie.com. That's where you'll find all the information you'll need to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or Pinterest. As always, we appreciate your support. Thanks for listening.